Well, hi there. I'm Shag, Skag, Scrug, Seth. I'm Shooge. Hey, Shug here. What is the best hammock camping insulation? It could be something organic. It could be something man-made. It could be polypropylene. It could be burlap. It could be CCF. It could be a lightly inflated pad. It could be the down from a goose or a duck. It could be a piece of plastic. It could be Reflectix. It could be a military poncho. It could be a Garlington insulator. It could be a whole bunch of leaves and duff you've just thrown in there to lay or lie in. It could just be that you don't need insulation because you are the world's toughest and warmest person. I would say that the best hammock insulation is the insulation that you can afford, the insulation you have, the insulation you're willing to use, the insulation you're willing to carry on the trail or throw in your car in a Rubbermaid bin. So it's very subjective. It's just like hammocks. You know, your insulation may just depend on where you live. I'm in Minnesota. Our climate goes from really cold to pretty hot summers. You may live in Texas or Louisiana where I know you get really hot summers, and maybe your winters are getting a little worse, but that's going to depend a little bit on it. Some of it is how much you want to spend. All right, like let's go back 20 years when I first started. My first insulation was a closed cell foam pad, and it worked fine. You know, you got to wrangle yourself in there a little bit. I did get condensation under me. There were times I woke up like on cool fall nights where I was warm but I was moist, and that's how I'd wake up in the morning. There should be a little bit of condensation on it. Did I like that? No, I didn't. Did I know any better? No, I didn't. There was a guy on hammock forums at that time. This was about 2006, and his name was Just Jeff, and he had a website that's still out there, which I'm going to link below, called To the Woods. And you can look on there and see all that he went through. In those days, people were really inventive with their hammocks because there really wasn't anybody selling underquilts. You could use your pads, and you can use anything from a CCF or closed cell foam pad to an inflatable pad, insulated or non-insulated. That's going to make a difference, but don't blow it up all the way. Just throw it in and let it self-inflate a little bit, put a couple of puffs of air in it, and use it with just very little air in it. It'll get you by. Will you get condensation? That's kind of up to you. It varies. Again, variables. Variables. Black and white, yin and yang, up and down, left and right. People ask me, Shush, could I use a hide or a pelt? I don't really have hides or pelts laying around my house too much, but if you've got a hide or a pelt, like a reindeer pelt or a deer pelt or a bear hide or some sort of pelt or skin, throw it in there in your hammock, lay on it, and see what it does. If that's all you got, that's going to be your insulation. I'm sure it's better than nothing. I think back to those early days, and I'd try things like using a whole piece of Reflectix as my insulation. And yes, I still carry a little piece with me to sit on sometimes for insulation, but to sleep on, yes, warm but clammy, dewy, moist, a little teary, just a little soggy, yeah, but it kept me warm. And I wanted to move on from that, and you know, you might too. Now, if you go to that To the Woods site, you'll see where Jeff was experimenting with, you know, hammocks with the underquilt built in, like this Superior gear right there. He never really perfected it in his words, but that was an option. But he was trying everything, and one thing people used those days was called the GI, the Garlington Insulator. Let's say Gary Garlington. And what it was basically like an underquilt protector, which is sort of like a second hammock that you put outside your other hammock, but it's not weight bearing, so it can be a thin material. And he would fill it with, out in the forest, you know, backpacking. If there were leaves, he'd put leaves in it and duff and whatever kind of organic material he could put in there and use that as his insulation. And I tried it once, and I got attacked by spiders. I was really digging up a lot of spiders and slugs and worms and centipedes and just all kind of nasty. But was I warm? Yeah, I was warm. But It's pretty archaic, but it worked. It's like a survival skill. They tell you if you're lost sometime and you're freezing, you take leaves and stuff and stuff it inside your sleeves and down in your pants to insulate yourself. Yes, it will keep you warmer than nothing. And some people improved it. They bring a couple of leaf bags and put the leaves and stuff in a leaf bag and then put that under them. Yes, it worked. Insulation's got a lot of range. I get asked a lot about the military poncho. I don't have a military poncho, but people string that up outside their hammock and use that as insulation. I think it would work. I think you'd have to have it right up against the hammock so you got no air, maybe just a little air. Don't know, never tried it, so I can't give an opinion on it, but a lot of people do it and a lot of people have them, and the thing is, if you got it, try it. Don't ask somebody if you can do it. You can do it. If you have it, try it, do it, check out your results. Again, depending on the weather, the season, the barometric pressure, is there rain, is there wind? Thing about a hammock, there's always air moving underneath it so you get colder. I think that's called convection. It could be conduction, it could be perplexion. You know, if you're a camper or a backpacker, you probably have some sort of camping pad. I would say just use that. And in that, I have something, and I still have one, it's called an SPE. And I'm going to link all my insulation videos below and playlists. The SPE is a segmented pad extender, basically a piece of fabric that goes over your camping pad, and you can put little wings of pad. So when your arm is up against your hammock and your pad is down here, you got a little insulation there. But if you use the top quilt or a sleeping bag around there, that'll insulate you a little bit. Well, hey, Shug, now I got a sleeping bag. I don't have one of them top quilts or underquilts or anything like that. Can I just use that sleeping bag in my hammock? I don't want to put no pad or nothing in there. Is that going to keep me warm? Well, I'll tell you what, Don. What you got to do is get yourself in that sleeping bag, zip up. You're laying in there. That down is going to be compressed underneath you, like when you sleep on the ground on a pad. But because that pad is sitting on the planet Earth, it is basically keeping the planet Earth, which will chill through the night and it's warm in the day, from getting that chill up into your body. In a hammock, it's a little bit different because you're suspended. Are you still with me there, Don? So, yeah, it's going to compress, and the way down works, down doesn't make you warm. Down holds the warmth in that you already have in your body, all right? Your warmth will radiate out into that down. Those down feathers hold it and keep you warm, which is sometimes why you're not as warm in the morning after, like me, 10 or 12 hours sleep, because it is dissipated through the night. So that's my little know-it-all explanation of down for you. But here's the deal. No matter what you use for your insulation in your hammock, if you go to sleep and get in that hammock and you're already cold, you're going to be cold. That down is not going to warm you up. Again, it's taking the heat you have and holding it. So you want to build that heat up, and it doesn't matter what insulation you have. You get on that cold pad, it's better if you're warm. So if you've been sitting around the fire, get real close to it and hustle on in to sleep and get in that hammock quickly, because the colder you are, the longer it's going to take you to warm up. I advise doing just couple of jumping jacks, just sort of run in place, do a few camp chores, take a little walk, drink a hot drink, even though that's not going to warm you intensely. Psychologically, it warms you. Drink whatever you want. Your results may vary, but if your feet are cold, those feet are going to be cold, and that's the first thing that's going to be cold. So I say run in place, be a little warm when you crawl in. Then you're going to have a fighting chance no matter what you use, even if you use nothing as insulation as your burly body, because you are the warmest human on earth. You have a furnace inside of you just burning, and you don't need no stinking insulation because you're a man, woman, person, human. Now, a lot of people wonder about these insulated hammocks. It's got the insulation in it. Now think of your mattress at home. You sleep on the same mattress probably most nights, whether it's a hot summer night or cold winter. In the winter, you probably have the heat going. In summer, you might have a fan on you or the air conditioning, and you use a lot of blankets and stuff on top in the winter, and maybe just a sheet with your legs stuck out, you know, or just kind of wrapped over your nether regions. And, you know, you want to be as cool as you can be. Kind of the same thing. So with these built-in underquilts, my recommendation, if you're on the edge about that, and I can't tell you, I mean, I can tell you that I have laid in mine and on a warm day and not been too hot. But again, you might be different. But let's say you had a 40-degree built-in underquilt and it was going to be an 80-degree night or day, or even 90. You'll probably be fine. You'll just use less on top. But if you're worried about it and you want to go lower than that into the sub-zeros or zero, then get one of the Superior Gear comforters, which will snap on. It's what's like a second underquilt over this underquilt, and you can extend your range. Yeah, you can. I do it all the time. Give them all that advice. I tell you, it's proven. I done it. And I've been in hammocks since 2006, and I know everything about hammocks. I invented the hammock. So back to the question of the best insulation. For me, it's an underquilt. Took me a long time to trust them. Even when I made my first underquilt, which is Frankenquilt, which I still use, a partial underquilt, I didn't trust it. I was using a pad and an underquilt. I didn't trust it. They were kind of new. Nobody was even selling them yet. One or two people on hammock forums, but it wasn't a company. They would just make them and sell them. One was Lilo, and one was another guy. I've kind of forgotten his name. Tiwa was his name. It was Tiwa. Think about underquilts. You see these partial underquilts, or a half underquilt they call it. It kind of comes down to just behind my knees. The reason for those is they cost a little less because there's less down, less fabric. It's about real estate in your pack. It takes up less room. Now there's the full-length underquilts. They cost a bit more. You got more fabric choices today. There's more down in them because they extend from your foot to your, right behind your head, sort of to your neck. Just more to them, they cost more. These days you can go to a place like Hammock Gear or a few other people. Superior Gear does it now too with their built-in underquilts. Synthetic. It costs less. It's less expensive. It's heavier. So if you're a backpacker, you have to consider that. Doesn't compress as well, so it takes up a little more real estate in your pack. But maybe you're not a backpacker. Sometimes I just assume everybody is. Maybe you're not. I am, but really, I want to do more car camping because I want to bring a cooler with lobster and steak in it and a Dairy Queen cake. So best insulation is your best insulation. What works for you, what you have, what you use, what you trust. If you're new, I hope you're experimenting. Try it. A lot of stuff that you'll try as insulation will be a vapor barrier in the long run. A closed cell pad is a vapor barrier. It's going to hold your vapor rather than letting it out. An underquilt lets your hammock and you breathe. I've never had moisture with an underquilt, and I've been the warmest with my underquilts. Yes, an underquilt that you have to hook on. Got an F1 race happening back there, or the Indy. You pull it up over your shoulder, you do a few adjustments, you gotta get your underquilt right, and I'm gonna put all my underquilt, the links to the playlist in there, and go through it down below. Even like an emergency space blanket. You could, you could lay one of those underneath and lay on that. Will it keep you warm? It'll keep you warmer. Will you get some condensation laying in the hammock? Probably, but then you may not. I will, because I put out a lot of moisture. And if you use hammocks, you're just going to have to go through all these things and try it, and your iterations, and it'll change and it'll morph. And if you sleep in a tent, you pitch your tent, you put it up, you put the fly on, you throw your things in, done. Woo! Buddy, all secure in Sector 7. Pow! name is Dewey Buttocks, and welcome to my show today. Today what we're going to talk about is